A very pleasant good afternoon as we welcome you into yet another edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. I am the aforementioned Ironhead. This is the also aforementioned Dear Goon. And we are back together again where we belong at Quaker Steak and Lube in State College. Best service, best food, best beverages. Dear Goon, you got it all.
Yes,
we did miss the Quaker Steak and Lube, but I will say a very good time had on my week-long vacation, which included connecting with you and a wonderful group of people down in Southwest Florida for 4 days. And prior to that, the family and I went to Yellowstone and had a great time. May touch on that a little bit as the show unfolds here this afternoon. But lots to get into. Certainly a very busy sports weekend with the NFL draft, the blue-white game, and also some pretty doggone good wrestling results at the U.S. Open. Other Penn State results on the good side as well. Men's volleyball winning the EIVA title for the 37th time in school history. I don't know that we can rank this turnaround for the men's volleyball team quite with, we'll see what happens here in the postseason. Yep. But at least just yet, I don't think we can rank it up there with what hockey did, but
close.
Pretty darn impressive, sweeping their way to the EIVA title in all three matches, including the championship match at Princeton, which was, of course, the number one seed. So Penn State will begin NCAA tournament action on Friday. Penn State baseball losing 3 out at UCLA. Penn State softball sweeping 3 against Maryland. And again, lots of other Penn State sports. May touch on some of that as the show unfolds here as well.
So,
yeah.
Before we get to anything else, the baseball and softball thing.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it make sense
for
the conference to send out the softball and baseball team at the same time in one plane?
To me, that would make a ton of sense. I don't know what all. Yes, that to me would make just a lot of sense. Or if not necessarily the softball team, I don't know what all. I haven't sat down and thought this through. Maybe it would be baseball, softball, but at least get a couple of teams that are playing, having to make that trip. And baseball, softball just seems like a logical connection. Again, I don't know what all goes into the schedule making and all of the different components to it, but boy, on the surface, I'm with you. That
could put men's and
would be pretty obvious.
Lacrosse. But they're not traveling out west because the West Coast teams don't have lacrosse teams.
Correct.
So that's really, that's no big. But the baseball, softball, it just seems like that would be the smart move type of thing. But besides that, great weekend, Ironhead. Great weekend. Good to be back. I think we're both still struggling, trying to catch up on some sleep because it's a long, long time. And I saw the pictures. The Mad Turtle showed me some pictures of Yellowstone.
Yeah, we had.
My wife was very jealous.
Yeah, we had a great trip. Again, neither of us saw the blue-white game.
No.
And, of course, it wasn't televised, so we didn't have the opportunity to check it out there. Reading through all of the accounts of it, certainly sounds like Penn State rightfully feels pretty good about its quarterback room, about its running backs room, about the offensive and defensive line, even with a couple of departures on the offensive line. I think the two areas of concern right now, and I know they got the other or another receiver. The top receiver from Syracuse last season, transferring in, and I'll get his name here in a moment. I have so many names floating around in my head.
Something like that.
Very
good.
Yes, reading about him, I'm not going to sit here and tell you, oh yeah, man, I know all about him. I watched him all of last year. I wasn't following that closely. Syracuse
He
football.
had a 7-catch game this year, which tripled any receiver output of any of our players last year. So.
Yes, and so listen, it is it is a big get for Penn State at a position of need, and obviously depth at linebacker, a concern that they are hoping to address.
Linebacker, they're really going after. I've noticed that.
Yeah.
But it just seems like they're their hooks into a lot of different guys around the country, trying to get some guys in just to build depth, because they have okay linebackers. They're feasible, workable linebackers. Now, is it what Coach Knowles wants? You know what I mean? Is that what is a dynamic, crazy? I believe he calls him a robber. I believe that's what he calls, or a joker, maybe.
I saw there was. I think I was listening to Dan Patrick today, and I think it was that they were talking about the Heisman odds this season, and Drew Aller is actually, I forget now if it was second or third on the favored list, which surprises me. Only not so much because of Aller, although a little bit there, but more so, like. In order to win the Heisman, you have to have receivers that are out there making big plays. And I'm not saying that can't happen. I'm not saying it definitively won't happen. I'm saying I don't know that there's a lot of people, at least outside of the program right now, that would have great confidence that that is going to occur in the upcoming season. I think the tight end room is obviously very, very good. Big surprise there. But you've got to have some receivers that are making more than the routine plays for a quarterback to emerge as a Heisman Trophy candidate or finalist. And so, again, we'll see how all of that plays out. I do think, just again, reading through the accounts, wasn't there, it does sound like I think they have a little more confidence within the building right now, and especially with the kid from Syracuse coming in. A little more confidence than maybe they did. They weren't expressing a lack of confidence, obviously, publicly, but I think they kind of knew maybe that there was some issues, or were some issues last
The stat I saw was Aller is the second favorite to be the first overall pick in the NFL. Second favorite to be the first overall pick in the NFL draft. And it got me thinking, like, what would he have been this season? And I think he did a solid 2 behind Cam Ward, to be honest with you. With the way it shook out, I don't want to say his name because I've heard his name enough the last 5 days. But, I mean, the way it shook out, I think that he would have been the number 2 overall quarterback taken.
And, let's talk about that just for a second.
Sure.
And I'll go ahead and mention the name. But Shedeur, here is the thing. There's a lot of people. And I'm not saying it didn't factor in at all. We talked about this a little bit on our morning show yesterday. But I think all of the interview stuff, I think it factored in, and it's probably why he dropped a little lower than he would have otherwise. But I'm telling you, even if he had wowed people in the interview process, the NFL listen, these guys take all kinds of character risks every year. If you have the talent, they're going to take the risk.
Yeah.
I think they're looking at it, and at quarterback. I'm not saying he's not a great athlete. I'm not even saying he's not a great quarterback in the overall spectrum of quarterbacks. But what we're talking about for a first-round pick, like you're looking for somebody that can become a top 12 NFL quarterback. Right? Like, and for a sustainable period of time.
8 to 10 years.
I don't think there are many, if any, in the NFL that believe, and again, this doesn't mean he can't be. We've had all kinds of examples of guys that, I don't know, he doesn't have this or doesn't have that. And then, Tom Brady and Brock Purdy and so on and so forth. But I think they're looking at it saying, I don't think this guy, he might be a starting quarterback in the NFL. But he's not going to be an upper half quarterback, is what I think a lot of these teams are thinking in terms of the overall NFL spectrum.
Nor is he a classic NFL quarterback, but I think that stigma is gone.
Yeah, I do
with the
too.
Lamar Jacksons, the guys, the RPO guys.
I think it has a lot more to do with his arm strength and his decision making on the field. And I've seen that argued both ways, by the way. There are people that say, no, he actually makes great decisions on the field. I've seen people, he doesn't always make the right read or doesn't consistently make the right read.
He's an okay football player. I'll give him that. I will give him that.
Well,
he's an upper-tier football player. It was the intangibles to me that what made it drop.
I think it was more the athleticism than the intangibles. I think if the NFL thought he had the tools, the physical tools, they'd jump on him and say, we'll work with him and we'll get the other stuff fixed. I think that's what they do. They're like, we'll get him in our culture.
I mean, the intangibles being his dad is going to be in the locker room.
Yeah,
he's got to stop that stuff.
Yes, but I think also to some extent I think NFL teams think they also are going to be able to take care of that. If they thought, man, this guy just has all of the tools to be, a top 7 or 8 quarterback in the league for a long period of time, physically, if they felt that he had the physical tools to do that, I think they would overlook all of that stuff, Goon. I really do, because I think we've seen it time and time again. You're like, oh, man, that person has this issue, that issue, and yet he's still a top 5 pick. Why? Well, because he has the athleticism that they think is going to translate to the NFL. I think I know everybody is saying it's the intangibles and it's the concern about the family name and the family involvement and his attitude and all that. And I'm not saying that all of that wasn't a factor. I think I don't buy the narrative that was the overriding factor. I think the overriding factor is they don't think he's a top-tier NFL quarterback physically.
Never
he
thought
has
he was
physical tools.
He had 2 really great games last year against very, very inferior teams that provided most of his stats.
Well,
people were like, well, he didn't have anybody to throw to. And I'm like, he had the Heisman Trophy winning.
Yes. Now, I will say, I do think it is difficult to accurately judge where he's at and how it will translate to the NFL because of the conference he played in, which is not a great,
what would have helped?
Certainly defensive conference.
If he threw at the combine, maybe.
Well, for sure. Again, I'm not saying that stuff didn't factor in. And maybe he dropped another round because of that stuff. I think he could have knocked the socks off in the interviews, could have done everything and all of that, and he still wouldn't have been, I don't even think a second-round pick. I really don't, because I think that the NFL teams, and again, I'm not an expert. I mean, from what I watched, and we talked about it, I'm like, I don't see him translating top level. And again,
I never saw it.
Well, and that's not exactly a horrible indictment of his athleticism or his play. You're talking about over a 20-year period, maybe 20 guys that are in the category we're talking about. Well, there's a lot more than 20 guys that are really good quarterbacks. Again, just generally speaking, you have to be so special in so many different ways. Physically, mentally sharp, a leader, just a natural born, all of those things, and then some, to be one of the elite, like top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL. And again, over any period.
We always say he needs to get them in the right quarterback or any player needs to get in the right system that fits them.
And do you think the Cleveland Browns are the right system for anybody?
They already have it. They're already taking Gabriel from Oregon, and I was like, what do they? I don't. Again, it's the Browns, so it's sort of head scratching and funny at the same time. But I'm going to speak to you as an NFL player in a locker room.
Yeah.
And that is that if Daddy shows up,
not going to go well.
It's not going to go well. That's not how the NFL works. These are grown men doing their jobs and this and that. They don't need one of their teammates' daddies in the locker room. It doesn't matter
especially
who he is.
Well, agreed. Even more so if it is a guy that you're looking to be your leader.
Yeah.
Right. And a quarterback has to be.
And then people say that Dion has coached Shador since high school. So he went to 2 colleges with him, and it's high school. And as an NFL coach, I mean, there's not many guys who feel very secure in the NFL because it's not a secure job.
Yeah.
But there's a guy who might be in there trashing you in private, trying to get your job. I don't know. Would you want that in there in the locker room as a head coach? I don't know. And that's what I mean with the intangibles and stuff. And that is that how are the players going to take that, his dad being there, and then how are the coaches going to take his dad being there? And then I'm sitting there saying, how the hell is his dad there if he's a college football coach? What's going on here? I
think it would be more I don't think during the season
stuff.
He's showing up and like, hey, boys, let's go celebrate. Although, who knows? Maybe.
And then, you got some very good stuff that came out of that draft, some great stuff that came out of it. Like, I'm telling you, I'm a Will Howard fan, bro. I really am, and I know it's the standard issue of a guy who gets drafted late. You've made a great decision, the Tom Brady type of thing. I'm the best decision you ever made, Mr. Kraft. He made a living off of that. But if Will Howard can back that up, I'm not gonna lie to you. He's a good pick for the Steelers.
Yeah, I would have loved to have seen Jackson Dart one way or another end up there. I still think, and again, I'm wrong more often than I'm right. So
so are everybody else. Have you seen?
Take it with a grain of salt. But I really do think Jackson Dart's game will translate to the NFL. Now, whether or not, again, he's a top 10 quarterback or top 5 quarterback, I don't know about that. But I think as he matures, I do think he's going to be a top 15 quarterback at the very least in the NFL. And we'll see, again, how it all plays out. Could be completely wrong. Maybe Sanders will be a star. The nice thing is all of this stuff will play itself out, and we'll be able to talk about it in 5 years, 10 years from now with the benefit of hindsight. But
we try not to get political on here, but you talk about how the politicians get upset with newscasts and they're showing what they want to show and this and that. But do you think that like a guy like Mel Kiper or McShay, anybody from ESPN, Fox, are they? You think they're being taken care of to lead people to you understand what I'm saying? It's crazy to think. If you look at everybody's last mock draft and how far everybody is off on these things. Way off.
Yeah.
You might get 15 guys. If you get 15 right of the 32, you're top 98%, I think. And then it's got to be such a tough job to do. with their trades and stuff like that. But some of these drafting guys were just completely off base with it. Kuiper was out of his mind all over Shador. Yeah. I love not Colin Cowherd, but what he said months ago. I would trade T.J. Watt, 2 first-round picks, and maybe Cam Hayward to get Shador Sanders. You could have had him in the 4th round there for none of that, and it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Well, it's just crazy. The hype that goes into this thing, and again, the NFL has done a great job monetizing the NFL draft because we're sitting here talking about it 4 days later.
The other thing you do wonder, and people have been talking about it for years, but how much stuff gets put out by the NFL teams, by the so-called insiders, because they want a narrative out there and they want I do think part of this was some teams trying to set up other teams that needed a quarterback. Hey, man, boys, Sanders is the guy we're really impressed with. We wish we could get him. And hoping that somebody would bite. The fact that everybody passed on him in the first couple of rounds, though, tells you, nobody, again, if he had, if they perceived that he had the physical tools to be an upper echelon quarterback in the NFL, even if he had, even if he was out there publicly snorting cocaine, I'm telling you, somebody would be like, I think we can get him some help. And then, man, he has the physical tools, and they would have taken him, maybe not in the 1st round, but it was a 2nd round pick. The fact that he was not taken until as late as he was tells you that none of these teams believe that he has the physical tools to be that guy. Now, could he prove them wrong? Could he prove me wrong? Of course. It happens every year. We have guys that go out and, I told you I was better than anybody thought. And we have other guys that everybody thinks is going to translate well to the NFL. And we talk about even with college. There are so many different factors that I think we just can't take into account. You see, I go back to Courtney Brown, just a Penn State example, and it's like that guy, I thought it was a great pick by the press. Like, man, he's going to have just a legendary NFL career.
Yep.
Well, he was a hard worker. I mean, it wasn't a case where this was a guy that just
he didn't
slacked off. It didn't work. And again, sometimes it's a misevaluation. Sometimes it's just some guys, the ceiling is higher, and other guys hit their ceiling that senior year in college. It's like, yeah, my body's done, and these other guys are able to put on a little more good weight. But also and a lot of this stuff we'll never know about it. There are all of the things that come with having money and fame very quickly. And now you're in a big city in many cases with all of this money, and there are a lot of people that know that, and a lot of people that want to take advantage of that. And in some cases, not even knowingly. It's like, oh man, cool dude, and you get involved and you start running the wrong circles. That can lead you down the wrong path.
Jeff, I mean, honest to God, I mean, like, it really, it's so, they're so far into especially a first round pick, because you are dropping tens of millions of dollars on this kid.
Yeah.
They want to know everything, who your parents are, who their parents' friends are, who your buddies are. I mean, it goes to as far as to say, like, okay, so what if the Eagles were enamored with Abdul and they wanted to trade up to get him? You know what they were going to do? They were going to go and see if Abdul, being a North Philadelphia kid, would be able to handle the pressure being around his guys he grew up with.
Yep.
I mean, that comes into account. And they're going to be like, well, he can't be around these guys because they're going to lead him astray, and he's not going to be there. And then so that would be a check mark against him type of thing. And that's crazy to think about, but that's how into it and introspective they get with these picks and stuff like that. They want to know everything about you, and because it is such a big investment, huge investment, you're giving the keys to the Lamborghini.
Yep.
To a first-round quarterback, or a first overall pick. Cam Ward, I mean, I don't even think I see the kid interviewed. All I see is Shedeur Seniors. And I'm like, this kid goes first overall, and we're barely even talking about the guy.
And I think that's an interesting one, too, because while I think Ward was the best quarterback in this class, and again, we'll see how it all plays out. That's the beauty of it.
Time will tell.
But I don't get the feeling that he is that quarterback, like Jaden Daniels was. I mean, you're expecting him to be that as the number one overall pick, and then some.
I think Abdul and Jaden are going to get to know each other real well.
Yes. I think it was a reach to me as the number one overall pick with him. Now, that is a guy that I do think has the physical tools, and I think that's why he was taken number one. But I think there's a lot of room there for growth in order for him to get to where they need him to be to make that feel like that was the right pick. But again, that's the fun of this is everybody's going to give their 2 cents now, and it's not going to matter because all of these guys are going to play out their careers, and we're going to know in 5 or certainly 10 years from now, all right, yep, boy, that was a great pick. Yeah, for whatever reason, that one didn't work out. And some of these guys that were taken in the top 5, certainly the top 10, aren't going to be guys that 10 years from now we look at and say, boy, yeah, that was it never works that way.
How did they see? How did they miss that? I go away this weekend. You were out, but Matt Vanderbeek's there. Matt played at Michigan State with Tony Mandridge.
Yep.
And I played in Indianapolis with Tony, and this was the end of Tony's career when he had just come back after a 3-year hiatus. And Matt's like, what kind of, how was he during camp? And I said, I'm not going to lie to you, man. Like, this is Tony Mandridge, who was the most arrogant, conceited, wacky guy in the world when it came to his draft in 1989. And he's considered one of the biggest busts, if not the biggest bust in the history of the NFL draft, because he was the can't miss project, and he was so big and so strong and this and that. But we were talking about me and Beaker, and he was like, I was like, dude, I'm telling you right now, when I was with Tony in Indianapolis, that cat was humble. He was, yes, sir, no, sir. Hey, nice to meet you. Can I help you guys out? He was out talking to the younger guys, and like you could see where he was trying to right his wrongs that he had been, when he first came into the league. And he was really bad when he got in the league. And, there was the steroid issue. And so Matt was telling me, like, even in college, he said, like, Tony was like a great guy. But he was like, Tony would not lift with us, wouldn't run with it. He would just go do his own thing. And I'm like, how the hell does your coach allow that? And he goes, he'd be going down to Gold's Gym and doing these like 5-hour workouts twice a day type of thing. And I was like, whatever, dude, if that's what it takes. But, and there's a guy who's, they look back on him. And I just remember because the coaching staff that I had with Indianapolis was the same coaching staff that was in Green Bay that drafted Tony. And I remember talking to one of the guys. He was the O-line coach, but he was an assistant O-line coach with us with Indianapolis. And he was like, dude, we went through the films like a year later. Like, we watched every game and said, what the hell did we miss? What did we miss? And it was – they all went through there. They redrafted Tony, and they were like, yeah, he's our top guy. Like, it was like that's just how it was. And it just didn't work. It just didn't fit in the NFL for Tony, And that happens.
Yeah, and I do wonder if part of it is, and I don't know, but I think that those workouts, as you're saying that, I'm like, those extra workouts, while it might seem like a good thing, the phrase work smarter, not harder. Just it always comes up to me. Do you have to work hard? Yes. Yeah, like you're not going to have success in any sport, really, at any level, without working hard. Like that is a prerequisite. I don't care how talented you are. There has to be some hard work. Now, it may vary the degree of hard work depending on the God-given talent and all of that. But you've got to work hard. There is such a thing as working too hard, not being smart about it. And again, I don't know that this is the case with Tony, so I'm not even speculating that, but it is possible. I'm not going to get into names, but Penn State Wrestling has had some kids that have come in, and again, they lay out, the coaches, all right, this is our schedule for the week. This is, and again, they have it all planned out for the season, depending whether you're a starter or reserve, whatever. And they'll make adjustments, obviously, as needed on an individual basis throughout the course of the year. But they kind of have the plan. Well, and this has happened more than once, but there was a kid where they're like, I don't understand. Like they have it planned out, and they're like, man, we're going to have really good legs on, Friday. We'll see what this kid can do. And he comes in, and he's like, he's sluggish. I'm like, what is going on? And then they do it again. And like, all right, let's start schedule next week. Well, they finally talked to the kid, and what he was doing in the evening without telling anybody, because he's trying to work his tail off. Yep. He was doing I forget now, I think it was a 5-mile run every evening just to help his conditioning. Well, the coaches didn't know this. And so, again, they're mapping everything out to get the optimal performance while running that extra 5 miles while the kid thinks he's doing a great thing. And it's admirable that he's wanting to put in extra work and all of that. The fact is he's tiring himself out. And again, it's the whole rest and recovery and everything we've learned about that over the years, and he just wasn't giving himself the optimal opportunity for his body to respond in those situations. And I just wonder sometimes, you're saying that he went off and was kind of doing his own thing. Again, sometimes that can work out, man. If you know your body. I remember Kerry McCoy was really the first wrestler that I know of who just – he was in tune with his body, and he would go in and he would tell the coaches and he obviously was a very hard worker, but there were days where he's like, I need to take it easy today. And they're like, all right.
And that's faith in the athlete.
Absolutely.
Because there are coaches who don't trust athletes, and there are athletes who shouldn't be trusted because
Correct.
They don't want to work hard. They're going to be like, you know what, I don't feel like going today.
Yep. And this wasn't a frequent thing, by the way. So don't.
Well, I'll tell you right now, Jeff Hardings.
Yep.
Like, I used to tell Jeff, what the hell are you doing? Like, we would have, Monday, Tuesday. Monday was a half pad practice, walkthrough type of thing, just get your blood flowing again. Tuesday and Wednesday were very hard practices. And then Thursday was tops only. That's helmets and shoulder pads, and it was like, stay off your legs, this and that. It's only about an hour and 20-minute practice.
Yep.
And we would be in half pads. But in 94, we were killing everybody. So we weren't getting a lot of work on Saturday, and we were falling out of shape is what we were doing. And I would tell you the story about Michigan. You've heard me say it. As tired as I've ever been in my whole life was after that game, because we had finally had to play a 4-quarter game.
Yeah.
But Jeff would go to Joe and be like, hey, put the pants on. Put the pads on. Let's go. And Joe would be like, are you sure? And he'd be like, yes. He's like, we're not getting enough work. We're a little tired. We're not ready. And, we're rested. I mean, you're resting Friday. You're playing a half a game Saturday. You're off on Sunday. A walkthrough. He's like, we're rested. We're good. He's like, I think we need more live work this week. And, Joe would say, put the pants on. We would get so mad at Jeff and this and that, but he had a point. You know what I mean? He had a point. He understood that, like, he wasn't ready for that game specifically. So he wanted to go, let's go one more day. Not heavy, but in pants and pads where
get some of that.
When you don't have pants on, you're not going 100%. And the guy ahead of you is not going to go 100%. Now, when you have pads and pants on, it's a full-blown. You're going to start scrimboing.
Yeah.
But we would get mad at Jeff for that. But in the end, and I always tell you that the old man was so good at recognizing the team and how their legs were and stuff like that, because he had seen it 10 million times. And he would listen to Jeff. We would get mad, but it is what it is. And in the end, it was probably the best thing that could have happened, because, again, like I said, we weren't doing crap Thursday afternoon. Friday was we didn't even go onto the field Friday. Saturday, we played 2 quarters of a football game. Sunday off, Monday, again, on the field for an hour, just getting blood flowing. And then Tuesday, we had 2 hard weeks, 2 hard days a week. Yeah. And one of them wasn't Saturday. So, but Jeff, again, Joe had the faith in Jeff to say, okay, he has a feel for the guy, and he respected Jeff's opinion enough. And Joe trusted that, if Jeff went to him and said, hey, listen, we're beat up. If he went the other way and said, Coach, let's even on a Wednesday off. Yeah. Even on a Wednesday and say, hey, I don't think we need to go full go today, and this, and he'd be like, hey, half pad, But then we would be telling Jeff, go get half pad, go get half pad, go get half pad. He'd be like, no, we need to wait,
The team dynamic.
It is funny, man.
Always good stuff.
Locker room fun, baby.
All right, we're going to take a break here. We are back with much more. We're going to talk a little bit more about this Penn State team and the roster and coming out of the blue-white game. Some of the things that you feel good about, and I think there's a lot of things to feel good about this team and where it's at this stage, and certainly looking forward to where it could be when the fall rolls around. So we'll talk some Penn State football as we continue. It is our Tuesday edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here from Quaker Steak and Lube.
If you're suffering from spring fever, Lion Country Kia has the cure. The Spring Fever Reliever is a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. They make it easy to choose because there's 86 brand new Kias in stock and ready to go. Lion Country Kia has 14 2025 Kia Sportages and 7 2025 Kia Sorentos available, with financing as low as 3.49% for 72 months or total savings of over $4,000. And of course, every new Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Stop in today and check out the full Kia lineup, plus a great selection of certified pre-owned Kias. Enjoy spring in Happy Valley. Lion Country Kia, 1334 Dravova Street off Shiloh Road behind Sam's Club, State College. Warranty is a limited powertrain warranty. For details, see dealer or go to kia.com.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
May is National Mental Health Awareness Month, and everyone is invited to celebrate at the Opportunity Center Clubhouse's 19th Annual Mental Health Awareness Kickoff Party, presented by Center Helps, on Thursday, May 1st at Wasson Farm. Admission is free, and doors open at 5 p.m. with live music by Eric Ian Farmer, a vendor fair, free ice cream, complimentary hors d'oeuvres and drinks, door prizes, plus a program of speakers and great success stories beginning at 5:30. Join the fun as Mental Health Awareness Month launches at Wasson Farm on May 1st.
Hi, welcome to Timberland Federal Credit Union, a financial cooperative for its members, tracing all the way back to 1973.
Experience Timberland Federal Credit Union, where you're greeted with a smile and financial solutions are tailored to your unique life journey. Here, we're not just financial professionals, we're your neighbors, people invested in your financial needs, literacy, and empowerment. Your dreams matter to us, whether they're about buying a home, growing a nest egg, or embarking on new adventures. TFCU draws from the past and invests in the future, offering modern tools like online banking to give you the freedom to manage your money practically anytime. Additionally, we're passionate about giving back both time and resources because enhancing our community is at the core of why we're here. Visit TFCU in person or online to learn more about our services and apply for a membership today.
WFXS, once again.
The Fox, your sports radio. Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA's Sports Authority. WFXS America. 98.7. The Fox. State College. The Goon and Ironhead.
Back here at Quaker Steak and Lube on this Tuesday as we continue. It's the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. Again, love being back here at Quaker Steak and Lube. The all-you-can-eat wing buffet gets underway right as we go off the air here this afternoon at 4 o'clock. No Jed Donahue today. He will be back tomorrow, but we'll have Fox Sports airing starting at 4 o'clock this afternoon. And, of course, Pirates baseball coming up this evening.
Who they got?
Too bad we can't get Paul Skeens to pitch.
Did he pitch yesterday?
Three or 4 days a week. No, he pitched Friday night when the Pirates shut out the Dodgers.
Okay. I was going to say, I didn't do anything last night. There was nothing. I mean, I was away
last
night, but
it was a quiet night on the.
It was
outside of the high school sports front. It was a pretty quiet day the whole way, around. Yeah, we're excited. We're kind of in a whirlwind schedule right now. Our family, again, had a great vacation, a very busy vacation, all great stuff. Saw and got to do a lot of different things. Yep.
Tell them the weather difference.
Well, so
that's just hilarious.
Yeah, it was. Now, to be clear here, we didn't necessarily experience this. We weren't out overnight. But the one night we were in Jackson, Wyoming, it was 13 degrees outside. Do you know they had a day over the winter, this past winter, that was minus 40? That was the actual temperature. The real feel was minus 50. I forget. I think it was 54 or 55 degrees. Minus 55. I'm like, oh, that is a hardy sort.
Right. Stop. You're obviously not in a hole. You're in a mountain.
Well, Jackson Hole is Jackson is where we stay. Jackson Hole is kind of the region.
Yeah.
And it's the valley region, So you're kind of down between the mountains there is the Jackson Hole area.
Weather getting stuck in there?
Where we stay, what's that?
Does weather get stuck in there?
Apparently not as much as what you
Okay.
might think. The snow really does fall, not surprisingly, I guess, but like substantially more in the higher elevations. There is a snow band on some of the mountains year round, and you kind of gauge how well everything's doing there based on, you want that snowpack to be at a certain level to kind of assure everything's going to work the way it should be working in terms of the ecology out there. Learned all kinds of interesting things. I knew Yellowstone was a volcano. I mean, that park it's an active volcano.
All of it.
But one of the things we learned is that if there is a forest fire there, they do nothing. And there's a lot of debate. It's as you might imagine, a pretty controversial take right now. And they've had various animals have different protections at different times. There's some debate right now on whether some of the animals should have the restrictions taken off because they're becoming too plentiful in the minds of some of the locals, and that's controversial. Like, there's a lot more controversy going on out there than I would have anticipated. A lot of it makes sense as you hear the different arguments. Like, I can see that point. And both of the guides we had talking about some of the similar things both said, I see both sides to these arguments.
You're probably talking about wolves.
But it's interesting. No, more
so.
Really? Yeah, no, the wolves are, I think they're at a healthy, at least according to everybody we talked to, a healthy population. More of the grizzly bears, and then even the bison, and it's one of those things that, like, there's the Yellowstone population, and then there's the national population of these different animals, and in some cases the national is in real trouble and the Yellowstone population is at least good. And so, but they're trying to do some things with the grizzlies in terms of they're trying to stretch the territory a little bit to match up with another territory, and I forget now the exact but they feel like they're getting close, and then once that happens, then they feel like they're going to be in good shape. There's a lot of Yellowstone that has not been explored yet, though. Like, it is so vast that they're like, these are the waterfalls we know about. And I was kind of joking. It's like, so there could be more, you're saying? Like, and we're like, well, yeah, actually, we're pretty sure there probably is some more. The question is, like, is it just 4 or 5 more, or is it like 25 or 30 more? Are you serious?
There's no helicopters going over.
Well, apparently there are some areas that it's really hard to see down in, and obviously very difficult to get to, just with the mountains and the different ridges. So I don't know. It was very interesting.
It's Atlantis. We found Atlantis.
Well, I will say, you do feel like you are on a different planet at times. Like, you go through like a different spots. You're like, all right, I'm pretty sure I'm either on the moon or Mars right now.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then you're like, oh no, now I feel like I'm back in Pennsylvania. Beautiful. And then you're like, oh, now we're in like just the hinterlands.
Well, you were Moon or Mars when I introduced you to my buddy Davey Dunn out there. That's my boy out there. But
probably a little closer to Mars, although he was terrific with
Creepy
us.
Dave,
really
you are
was.
the man. Thank you for taking care of them.
Yeah, no, we had a great time.
Dave was a graduate assistant strength coach with me in the Penn State football weight room. The Jersey Cowboys, what he calls himself. He's like, he grew up in northern Jersey area. So, well, it's a populated area, but not like, it's not like a very rural area, but it's also not a very city. He was suburban there, but he just felt like he wanted to move west, man. He really just always wanted to move west, and he found out and moved to Jackson Hole 10 years. Maybe more than that.
I think that's about right. I think he said 20.
Just a great dude.
Yeah, 2012.
I keep in touch with him for years and stuff like that. And, I've told you heard me on the air saying, my wife's, her dream is Yellowstone and Banff in that area and going to those things. And a lot of walking, I heard.
Yeah, we had
not my strong suit there, Jim.
Well, the thing is, you can do a lot of it without walking. Like we kind of opted to walk out on some of the tours. We did a great hike. It was like a 3-round trip. It was about a mile and a half out, about a mile and a half back. The first full day we were there, and it was really the only hiking trail that was open in Yellowstone, and it was absolutely breathtaking. But the challenge with that, when the snow is still plentiful there and it's packed down, and we got there late morning, so it was pretty solid going up. As we were coming back, and we were told about it, so we were kind of ready for it, but it starts getting slushier, and you could see there were like some big footprint holes where people dropped down like a couple of feet because it starts to, as it gets warmer. Now it held pretty well for us, so we kind of watched where we were stepping and all of that, but it's just a very different landscape and very different climate within 20 minutes. And you can kind of go through 3 or 4 different feeling like it's a completely different experience within an hour and a half on the trip. It's like, well, this is one complete scene. This is another complete scene. Just a really, really fun trip. All right. Do want to get to Penn State football a little bit, and just kind of some of the.
Any comments out there? What was your experience with the weekend, by the way? Sorry.
For this
the blue-white weekend, because it was all different.
Yeah.
If you want to involved, or
Yeah, I liked. So I wasn't there, obviously, again. But I liked the concept, and I think I would have liked watching the 7-on-7.
Yeah.
I think that's not a bad way to go about getting things started. I think that it sounded, a couple of people I talked to and just reading through the accounts, it felt like things moved along pretty well, which, of course, without having to take TV timeouts is not surprising. So I think from the fan experience, aside from one half of the stands being inaccessible, I think it was a pretty good all-around experience. And I guess we had basically all 4 seasons on one day.
I heard
from talking to people. But I think the overall takeaway, to me, most people seem genuinely excited, and I think more confident that Jim Knowles' defense is going to be next level special.
Yes.
Now, you got to have the right personnel to execute it. I think if they can get this kid from North Carolina, the linebacker, I think they're pretty well set. Then with having what they need to execute it, so long as you stay relatively healthy.
Correct.
Right? Like, you can't have the key injuries in the key spots. Offensively, Goon, again, they obviously have done everything they can to address the receiver situation. It is a whole new core. I think anybody, including the staff, that tells you they know how this is going to play out is fibbing. They may feel confident about it. They may not feel confident. They're projecting confidence. But again, until you get these guys in games and see how this thing meshes or doesn't. But I do like, I like the fact that you now have a coordinator, and even though it's different receivers, he and the quarterback now on the same page, working together for a while, knowing how to use the tight end, and they have tight ends galore. That is one spot where they are really, really well set, along with, again, offensive line and running back. Well, if you can get that running game going the way they should be able to, and the way everybody, including me, thinks they will, then that should help open things up for that offense. Now, and the passing game I'm talking about, it, whether or not you have the receivers that can take advantage of that, get a little separation, make some yards after catch, all of the things that are important to be a national title team. we're going to find out. Like that's why you're going to go play the games. And truthfully, you're not going to know that from the blue-white game. You're not going to, again, you might have an idea, hey, boy, this guy is special. Is he special when there's sophisticated defensive coverage and the game's on the line? You don't know that. You're not going to know that until you get into those situations and see how players react. But it feels, Goon, like everything is set up here to give this receiving core and all of these new faces a chance to be really successful.
If you're a receiver in the NFL, in the college football portal, would you not be contacting Penn State like, hey, you know what I mean? Like,
yep,
we know you have, top 10, 15 money. We know you're looking for wide receivers. You can come here and be the man right away.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's what happened and all. I mean, again, this stuff is so foreign to me and you. We're so far removed from it, how it works, who contacts who, how does money get exchanged, and who does all that stuff. But if I was a wide receiver, I mean, I would make it known, like, hey, I'm in the portal. I'm sure that they do, but every team's looking for wide receivers and stuff like that. So, I mean, again, we're talking about Drew Aller, and the running game and stuff like that in our tight end games. We lost so much with Tyler because Tyler was so much of our offense last year. And, but that room is full, man. There's 4 guys in there right there. So did you see this? I know you don't do Twitter or X or something like that, or whatever.
Yeah, I got to get myself there, but yes.
They had the last 5 Penn State starting tight ends. Like, it's crazy.
It is.
It's really crazy how they're just pumping these guys into the NFL right now. We're slowly catching up to the tight end U name, possibly, in my opinion. But I am looking forward to this offense. Again, me and you like to stay low key because we fell for it a couple of years ago when we were, we call it, bearish.
Yeah,
we were very bearish a couple of years ago. Last year we tried to subdue, but I had the feeling, you had that feeling, and we were pretty damn good and can make a run. And we're well led. We're very structured on offense. We have the running game and the passing game, which is, not many people can say that. You got one of the top O-lines in the country, the top running backs in the country, one of the top quarterbacks. I mean, what else do we need, man? Let's go. This season can't get here fast enough, in my opinion.
Yeah, they need to stay healthy with the key personnel, but it really does feel like everything else is in place now to make a real run. And again, I think they have an elite coaching staff once again. I thought they had that last year. If anything, I think maybe even more elite this year with Knowles coming in and just with his.
It's really weird how much money you can spend and get really, really, really high-end coordinators.
Go figure. But I think his understanding of defenses and how to confuse even good offenses, good quarterbacks is, I do think that's going to be special. And I think it's going to be fun to see how Penn State kind of mixes and matches some things on both sides of the ball, really, as the season goes along. I think the one thing that they know they have to do better, because really, if you go back, they had a national title team last year, except they didn't get production from the receiver spot. Am I oversimplifying it a bit?
Sure.
Maybe a bit, but I don't think much. I think if they had an elite receiver and another receiver that they were able to go to consistently, I think they're national champions. I mean, I just do.
We can sit here and talk about Aller and this and that, but people are going to remember that one bad pass against Notre Dame.
Yeah,
that was an underrun route. I mean, that was a lot to do with the receiver not making the correct.
Well, and there's a lot of things. Yes, there's also a lot of things. I mean, it was a horrible decision, yes, but also, has anybody mentioned that no receivers caught a ball?
Nope. Not yet.
Wait, had that been brought up? With that, do you think that Aller felt like he might be having to force something? Now, again, I'm not going to sit here and defend the decision and say, I'm just saying, I think maybe he felt like we have to do something super heroic here. I have to do something super heroic.
I think it's now or never.
Now, that's always, when you get in trouble. And again, I'm not sitting here telling you that justifies it or any of that. But I do think if you have more confidence, more consistency from that receiving core throughout the season, you're more willing to just tuck it away and play to live the next down. So anyways, we'll see how it all plays out. I think Aller's experiences, good and bad from the last couple of years, are going to continue to pay dividends for the program as a whole. I just, again, everything I read regarding the blue-white game, maybe you didn't get the dynamic plays that you were hoping for if you're a fan, but I think they got out of it. The program got out of it what they needed to get out of it. And I think they feel very good about where they're at right now, where they're headed. I think they again, if they can get this linebacker from North Carolina, it will feel, at least to me, like they have all of the pieces. Now it's just a matter of getting that puzzle to fit together. And, obviously, Ohio State's still there. It's not like they're going to drop back substantially, if at all. So you're going to have to go out and get them. But I think Penn State has – I think they've created the right culture. James Franklin, whatever you want to say about him, those players believe in him and what they're doing, and they have confidence in what they're doing. And that's – we've talked about it. Good. I talk about it with the weight training in particular over the years. There's a lot of different weight training programs, and you can argue the merits of one over the other. I believe, generally speaking, and it's a big if you're doing the things properly technique-wise, and it's imperative that be part of the equation. But I do think the free weights clearly do more for your body. It requires more energy. It allows full extension of the muscles, all of that.
Now, with that said, that leads to more injuries sometimes.
Correct, but it's because people aren't doing it properly. But if you do it properly, and that's again the key. But if you do it properly, it's more beneficial. Now, it's a risk reward because yes, as you're lifting more weight, it's easier to. All right, I'm going to make a little extra.
As I'm sitting here wincing in back pain, thinking of myself 30 years ago.
I hear you. So anyways, but regardless of I got sidetracked there. Regardless of the weight program, if you have confidence in it and you believe in it and you're doing it the way it's being taught, that to me is probably the critical thing, more so than which program it is you're doing, that you're buying in, that you're doing it the way it's supposed to be done, and that you have confidence in it. Well, it's the same thing again. There's a multitude of offensive schemes and defensive schemes that can work. There's a multitude of personalities, coaching-wise, that can work. You have to have a team that is buying into it, that buys into your personality, buys into what you're doing, buys into the schemes, understands it, and believes, yep, that's going to give us a chance to go out there and succeed. And it sure feels, it felt like it last year, and I think we saw it play out, that it was justified. I think this program and the kids in it absolutely full out buy what the coaching staff is selling. And I just think I think they have the talent level now, the depth on the lines in particular, and the defensive line. You got to see some of these guys rise. I think they will, but you got to see them rise up. Probably the second biggest question to me is how good can that defensive line be? And then very quickly behind that is, do they have enough depth at linebacker with receivers, again, to me being still the top question going into the upcoming season.
And with all this said, we're going to close the book on the blue-white game, but again, we weren't there, but kudos to Penn State and the players for doing the autograph session.
Yes.
I know they brought that back. I know that was an issue, but that was, I'm not telling you, it sucked as a player. I mean, it really stuck. You just sat there for a good 45 minutes when I was signing on, but it was, you knew how much it meant to the kids and to the families and all that, and it meant so much.
Yes.
And we've gotten away from that with the NIL stuff because guys are getting paid for this and paid for that. I think that our guys are now beyond the whole, what are you giving me type of thing where they're like, okay, well, we'll do that, type of thing. We'll go out there for a half hour. And you saw the stars out there. I saw Aller out there. I saw Doc was out there. All these guys running back. And it was good to see them bring it back. And then they may have had it in the past. I don't know, but I do love the memorabilia sales, the like game used equipment sales and stuff like that. I mean, that stuff's not cheap. But I'll tell you what, that stuff it means a lot to a lot of people who have the opportunity to go out there. And, you see guys leaving there with like hockey sticks and like jerseys and stuff like that because it's all the sports that are involved.
Part of what you're trying to do is, build goodwill with the communities so that the community will stick with.
I have always said the blue-white game, I mean, we have my soapbox here a little bit, but you know how we have Military Appreciation Day where if you have season tickets and you want to donate them to us to a family of a veteran and stuff like that, then that's great. Let's do the same thing for some kids.
Yep.
You got a couple kids in the house you can't afford because it's not cheap. I mean, we price a lot of people out of these games and not, on our own accord. It's just how it is. But it would be pretty cool to have a family weekend type of thing where there are 1,000 tickets and then you put your name into a lottery for a four set or something like that,
Yep.
Why not do that? So.
Yep. All right, we'll take a break here. We'll talk some U.S. Open wrestling. When we continue, it is the Lion Country Kia, Goon, and Ironhead show.
If you're suffering from spring fever, Lion Country Kia has the cure. The Spring Fever Reliever is a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. They make it easy to choose because there's 86 brand new Kias in stock and ready to go. Lion Country Kia has 14 2025 Kia Sportages and 7 2025 Kia Sorentos available with financing as low as 3.49% for 72 months or total savings of over $4,000. And of course, every new Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Stop in today and check out the full Kia lineup, plus a great selection of certified pre-owned Kias. Enjoy spring in Happy Valley. Lion Country Kia, 1334 Dropable Street off Shiloh Road behind Sam's Club, State College. Warranty is a limited powertrain warranty. For details, see dealer or go to kia.com.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
May is National Mental Health Awareness Month, and everyone is invited to celebrate at the Opportunity Center Clubhouse's 19th Annual Mental Health Awareness Kickoff Party, presented by Center Helps, on Thursday, May 1st at Wasson Farm. Admission is free, and doors open at 5 p.m. with live music by Eric Ian Farmer, a vendor fair, free ice cream, complimentary hors d'oeuvres and drinks, door prizes, plus a program of speakers and great success stories beginning at 5:30. Join the fun as Mental Health Awareness Month launches at Wasson Farm on May 1st.
Hi, welcome to Timberland Federal Credit Union, a financial cooperative for its members, tracing all the way back to 1973.
Experience Timberland Federal Credit Union, where you're greeted with a smile and financial solutions are tailored to your unique life journey. Here, we're not just financial professionals, we're your neighbors. People invested in your financial needs, literacy, and empowerment. Your dreams matter to us, whether they're about buying a home, growing a nest egg, or embarking on new adventures. TFCU draws from the past and invests in the future, offering modern tools like online banking to give you the freedom to manage your money practically anytime. Additionally, we're passionate about giving back both time and resources because enhancing our community is at the core of why we're here. Visit TFCU in person or online to learn more about our services and apply for a membership today.
WFXS,
The Fox, your sports radio. Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA's Sports Authority, WFXS America.
98.7 The Fox State College. The Goon and Ironhead.
Back here on a Tuesday and talk some U.S. Open, and then we'll talk a little bit about the event that we were at this past weekend. Just a great time for some great causes. But
we were at a wrestling event.
Yeah, as
it's just
it turned
about
out,
older, fatter, old athletes.
Turns out that's pretty much the case. Very good showing at the U.S. Open for both Penn State and the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club. A couple of things that just really stood out to me from it. And we've talked, I mean, this isn't like a great revelation or something that's brand new, but to me, it is absolutely astounding the number of high school kids who are having success, like real success, in these senior level positions. Once in a blue moon, back in the 80s and 90s, the top level. Back in the 80s and 90s, once in a blue moon, you would have like a Kerry Colette that might go to a couple of college tournaments as a high schooler. It wasn't completely unheard of, but it was rare. Generally, you were competing in your age groups, and really, at least at Penn State, there weren't that many guys. I mean, we'd have a couple here and there that, like, all right, I'm going to dip my toe in the water here on the international front, freestyle wrestling in the offseason. Now, most of these guys, and it's not just Penn State, again, across the board, a lot of college kids are wrestling, but the number of high school kids that are, and again, there were a lot of kids that had success at the under-17 event, including some Penn State recruits at the under-20 event, but the number of kids that are having legitimate, I mean, Jax Forrest won the U.S. Open. That's pretty good success. Marcus Blaze placed in the top three. You have the number of kids that are competing, again, at the senior level is very, very impressive to me. And they're competing well. It's not just that, all right, well, yeah, he went out there and he got teched a couple of times, 10-0, congratulations. Like, they are going out there and winning matches over college kids or, Jax Forrest beating Seth Gross is just still, to me, mind-boggling because Seth Gross has been through all of the wars, is in the age-wise, is in the prime of his career. You usually think of kind of late 20s, 27, 28 as being usually the optimal competitive time for freestyle wrestling, just because you have the experience, your body's still, pretty young and fresh and ready to go and all of that stuff. But to see, again, to me, it's just astounding how good technically, to say nothing of all of the other components. I mean, the mental strength, the physical strength for a high school junior or senior to be taking on a 27, 28-year-old man.
Unbelievable.
It really is.
I'm just going to say strength-wise. Like, you don't understand. I mean, 17 to 27, that's daddy strength versus still like not there yet.
Yep.
That's crazy, man.
And so, it just very impressive. From the Penn State side of things, Luke Lillidahl is just, man, he is a special talent. Not that we didn't know that when Penn State was recruiting him, when he got here, and obviously with his third place finish at the NCAA tournament. I really think he's a guy. And I know freestyle and folk style, we've talked about it, they're different things. I get that success in one doesn't always translate to the same type of success in the other. I think Lillidahl is going to take that leap next year and is going to be one of the top wrestlers, pound for pound, which isn't easy for a lightweight to do in college wrestling. Watching the way he's moving, the confidence that he continues to gain, he's just one of those guys that, like all of the great ones that have come through at Penn State, he has such a love of the sport, such a great motor, and just always learning, always soaking stuff up, never thinking that, all right, I have it now. I don't need any. Like, these guys there's such a thirst there to learn a little more, learn a little different technique here. And this coaching staff, Casey Cunningham, if you didn't see, I think probably most of our audience did, but named the USA Freestyle Coach of the Year. Probably could have won that honor all of the last 10 years and beyond that. This coaching staff, Casey certainly one of them, is just, they are good across the board. I think maybe lost sometimes, which is kind of crazy to say, but I think I talk a lot about the gratitude component and the mental approach, and I think that is very important, and I think it's very different than anything I had seen before Cale came in here in the wrestling rooms I had been in. But these guys are so good technically, like so good, and have such an understanding of just the little things that can make a difference. The way you grab, the way you adjust your grip, the way you move from one move to another. It's just little things, like little tiny things that they work and they add to your game as you're going along. And the other thing that they are remarkable at, and I just think this is partially just a gift. I think it's an instinctive characteristic that you have, but I also think they work their tails off to make sure they continue to hone it and figure it out. And that is to know when to add different elements to different kids' games. I always grew up just thinking, and I think a lot of the coaches I was around, and they were good coaches, but I think it was like, all right, this is the right way to do this. And, if you're midway through the season and you're holding your bat wrong in baseball, like, all right, you need to adjust. Well, what I've learned being around these guys is it's like they may see something that's like, oh, that needs adjusted. But we're midway through the season. They want this guy working on something else to perfect that. Like, we're not going to add that to his game right now. It definitely needs corrected. We're not going to correct it now. He can get away with it for this year, but next year in the upcoming off season, and they'll make a little, hey, we've got this little thing that needs adjusted for next year. We don't want to overwhelm them now. There's only so much. You don't want guys overthinking. You want it to be an instinctive. But if you start working on it in late March, early April, it becomes instinctive by the time the next season rolls around. That is just, to me, that's next level. Now, maybe all coaches have always done that. I don't know. To me, it is really special because, again, if I had a baseball coach, well, now if you're adjusting your swing middle of the season, well, now I'm really thinking about that. And boy, this feels different. And it maybe takes you a couple of weeks to get comfortable with it. Well, now it's a couple of weeks of not maybe having the production that you would have had you just let the kid go. And then at the end of the season, again, you may be right. It's not the most effective swing, but it's getting that timing of when to introduce stuff, when to add a component to the game that I also think is an underrated or underappreciated component to what this staff does. Again, it's one thing to know, all right, these are all of the holds, this are all the moves. This guy can do all of these things with his, but you don't want to introduce 10 moves the week before the NCAAs. All right, we think you could do that, right? It's like, well, no, right now, you just got to refine that.
When you take a golf lesson, you know, I mean, you got to build, you know, do you build from driver down to putter, or do you go from putting up to driving? And then, like, you know, say you're teaching a 12-year-old kid how to play the game. I mean, are you going to sit there and say, this is how you hit a fade, this is how you hit a draw? No, you're just going to take care of the swing first.
Right.
I know what you're saying. And when do you implement, okay, let's implement, you know, you have a natural fade, let's work on that type of thing. And and wrestling is, okay, well, you know, you're really good at this, but, you know, you're not good at this, but look, I'm going to tell you how to do it, but I don't want to see you out there doing it in a meet, like type of thing.
Yep.
So honestly, so these high school kids wrestling these veteran guys and doing very well, competing, not saying winning in them all, but they're competing with them.
But in some cases, which is just.
But is that more of a not knowing how to wrestle the high school kid, or is it like?
I think there is a component to that. I don't completely discount that, but I really think it has more to do with these guys are just. Well, actually, I think there's a couple of things that can come into play. One is, I think I've told the story on air before. David Taylor, his senior year.
High school, college.
We were talking, and he was telling me on the one trip that it was much easier for him physically in his sophomore year. He's like, I felt great. Like, the bumps and bruises that I feel now, I wasn't feeling as a sophomore. Like, my body just, I wasn't dealing with the issues. The sport
bouncing back is what we would call it
at the collegiate level, and this is why, like, I do think Ono is going to be very successful collegiately, but I don't think it's going to be quite as automatic as some are making it out to be, because he has not wrestled folk style. And when you talk to people that have wrestled both folk style and freestyle, and you add in the season, the length of the season with college wrestling, it is such a different animal. It takes I would say a lot more conditioning to be effective in college wrestling than it does at the Olympics, because you really have to work to get off bottom. In freestyle, you're working to not get turned, and there's energy expended there for sure, and it's its own game within the game, but you're fighting it off for 10, 15 seconds tops, and then you're back on your feet. In college wrestling, you have to work your tail off, and you are exerting all kinds of energy trying to get away from the guy that's on top of you. Top guy is exerting some energy, trying to keep you on the mat. There's a different component to the folk style wrestling on the conditioning front, and even I think with that is the mental challenge that is folk style wrestling, along with, again, the length of the season. Freestyle, you gear up for, most of the top level guys, you're gearing up for 5 tournaments probably at the most during the course of the year, maybe 5 or 6. A lot of these guys are doing 3 or 4 tournaments over the course of the year. Well, that's a lot of downtime to be able to work and refine things. And the college wrestling season, and that's, part of the coaching thing here with the Penn State staff is, again, knowing when to introduce and implement different things for different guys, it's a long grind. And the successful guys, the guys that are the most consistent, are the guys that embrace the grind. But to go from early November through March, wrestling mostly weekly at the very least. And again, there's some breaks in there. I understand that, but it's largely wrestling weekly. Yeah. There's not a lot of time to just sit back and refine your technique. Like you're kind of just trying to get through on what you have. Now, there's obviously a lot of teaching going on, a lot of learning going on, and all of that. And you're taking the lessons from one match, trying to apply it to the next, add to your game, all of that stuff. But you're not doing it the way you can between freestyle tournaments. And it's so I think, and then you add in the component that, hey, you still got to go to class. There's, for most of these guys, there's the social component is much more obviously there in college than it's going to be as you get into your professional life. A lot of the guys that get into their professional life are married, settled down. Yeah. You're not having some of the distractions that come with being in college in that regard either. And just the classes, the managing the schedule, the time management, it's just different when you get out of college and you're focused on the freestyle element, which again, to me, is part of what makes what these high school kids are doing. So I think so amazing. Remarkable. But some of these high school kids, part of it is some of these guys are just
these amazing. Generational kids, or is this going to be the norm coming?
Well, forward? I think I'm going to answer by saying yes, because I keep saying half jokingly that Penn State keeps recruiting once in a generation kids by anywhere from 2 to 5 a year, exactly. Which is basically what is happening. Again, prior to Cale getting here, and this isn't an indictment of Rich Lorenzo obviously did a great job. Bill Cole before him, John Fritz, Troy Sutherland, all were good coaches, all had, different strengths and all of that. But I can name for you the Andy Motters, the Jeff Prescotts, the Jim Martins, the Kerry McCoys. Over a couple of decades, there were 5 or 6 guys that's man, they really stood out. With Penn State, I was talking about this with somebody down in Florida. It's if you just people will ask me every day, well, who's the best wrestler you've seen at Penn State? It's depends what you're looking for. I genuinely, I can't name you the one. I mean, the most accomplished now is Carter Starace. Do I think Starace was the most consistently great? He was consistently great. I mean, he lost twice outside of the injury defaults. He lost twice in his college career, both in his freshman year. That's crazy. So he went 4 years of college wrestling outside of the injury defaults of the Big Tens without losing a match. That is crazy. So he is up there. Whether you'd put him number one, again, there were some matches where it's got the job done, got the win. Don't know that was as impressive as we thought it'd be given the opponent. To me, and it's opinion, complete opinion, I think the two most consistently great wrestlers that I would point to at Penn State were David Taylor and Jason Nolf. Even when they lost to great guys on great moves or great bouts. Bo Nickel, Zane Rutherford, Aaron Brooks, Carter Starace, these are all generational talents. Before this group came in, if you had put up Frank Molinaro's career, if you had put up Nico Megaludis' career, Quentin Wright's career, those are Mount Rushmore guys on the mountain of Penn State wrestling. Yeah. Well, now they're the also-rans, which is absurd. Vincenzo Joseph.
Honorable mention.
If Vincenzo Joseph had been allowed to compete his senior year and won a 3rd national title, I mean, he's in that conversation as all-time greats. Ed Ruth is certainly in that conversation of all-time greats. Just a guy that made it look so ridiculously easy. But again, you start going down the list. I mean, Greg Kirkfleet is an all-time great wrestler, 5-time All-American, national champion, 2-time finalist, the whole bit. And again, because of the just unbelievable performance that Penn State has had, he gets thrown into the kind of also ran category here of greatness with Penn State. And, that is something, too, that I think maybe gets a little underappreciated by the fan base, is how difficult it is. And the pressure isn't coming from the coaches. The coaches are doing everything they can to reduce that pressure. But if you are wrestling on this Penn State team in this era, right, you feel that. Like, just to be part of this program, you feel like you have to be a top 3 finisher at the NCAAs. It is really hard. I don't care how talented you are. It is really hard to be a top 3 guy at the national tournament once, let alone 3, 4, 5 times in your career. So when you look at again, this pantheon of greats that continues to come through Penn State, I'm watching PJ Duke this weekend. It's like, you don't want to put any pressure on these kids, but like, you can't help, your eyes just pop at watching what this kid can do. And it's like, man, I can hardly wait to see him get here. Well, the thing is, you may have to wait to see him get here because you have Tyler Kasak, Mitchell Messenbrink in the weights that's
my next question,
where he would project at. And even next year, I keep having people, how's it going to shake out at 84 or 97? Like, I have no idea. I'm as curious as everybody else to find out. Connor Mirasola just won the under 20 U.S. Open and was dominant. Cool Mirasola looked terrific in winning the title at heavyweight. But you have Connor Mirasola, and obviously if Josh Barr stays at 197, you have 2 greats there. Well, there's only one spot. Well, okay, Barr's going to move down to 84. Well, okay, but you got Rocco Welsh that just came in.
No, that's my question.
Again, do I think Barr, if he drops down, would beat him? Yeah, because I think Barr is going to beat anybody, although 84 is loaded. Max McAnally comes back, the Minnesota kid who is a phenom.
Yep.
You have Angelo Ferrari waiting in the wings. People are telling me he's going to be a 4-time champ. Iowa fans are telling me he's going to be a 4-time champ for the Hawkeyes. Well, both of those guys, again, you're like, Zach Ryder, who transferred out of here to go to Oklahoma State, to me, he might be the guy to beat. Rocco Welsh might be the guy to beat. If Barr comes down, to me, he is the guy to beat. But that's, those other 3 I mentioned, they're all telling you, nope, we're still the guy. That weight class, to me, at the top end is going to be the best and most exciting to watch in the country next season.
Think of the last dozen years, Cale's years, guys that have transferred. Make a team of, give me your top 10 there in your weight classes.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
Yeah.
This is talent that is left here.
Yeah.
And I know we're saying generation. You don't want to throw that word around because you are literally talking about generation. But yeah, they're here. They're generational type players. And they're here at the same time, year after year, couple of them. So I guess, are we using the word? No, I don't think we are using the word generational too much, because they truly are. And just what Cale has lost in the transfer portal, it's the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Holy crap, man.
The caliber of wrestler that is coming out now, though, to go back to where we started the conversation, which is, how these guys are having success. Part of it is, I think they're like, there is some advantage in some ways to having the young body. Like, you're able to just let it fly, and you're not dealing with the aches and the pains as much in most cases just yet. But I just think these guys,
they learn earlier,
are starting, younger, to really learn the technique, and I won't say perfect it, but I mean, they are really, really good. Like, you watch a Bo Bassett or a Jax Forrest or a Marcus Blaze, technically, it's amazing. Like, they are doing things that are just, incredible for any age, let alone their age, not even being in college yet. But they're also getting exposed to more. Like these kids are coming in, they're starting younger,
Yes.
one. They are getting top-level coaching, and whether they're getting it at their high school or not, they can go places now. You can train with different clubs. You can get access. There's all kinds of videos out there from top college guys who are willing to share, hey, this is how you do this. This is how you do that. So all of these things are contributing to it. And they're just coming out more ready now than they ever have.
I think the strength training and the nutrition is at such a younger age now,
Yeah.
where they learn it and understand it, where you and I did not have that. And another thing is that how many top high-end level, I'm talking elite level wrestling camps were out 30 years ago?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. And
you're going, there's one in each state probably a couple times a year, where you can go and you might be wrestling a David Taylor or a David Carr, and you're just messing around, but you're actually wrestling them.
Yeah.
And you're learning, like, okay, this is where I need to be type of thing. And it's, my brother was in '85, was a high school All-American basketball player. He played at the 5-star elite basketball training camp. That was the thing that the guy from the guy who did a Nike, the Air Jordan thing, Salvacario. He's the one who started the 5-star elite basketball camp. But he went to that. He was one of those guys. That's when, these guys were now starting to play each other in the early 80s, mid 80s, where you were going against each other. But like wrestling has really taken that over, and it is such a small culture that it's either you want to do it or you don't want to do it, man. It's like it's just gonna sound weird, but I had a girlfriend who was an equestrian. She rode horses. She showed horses.
Yep.
My brother Bucks, his daughter, was really into the horses thing growing up and stuff like that. And my girlfriend told me, she said, when it comes to about age 16 in the horse riding world, it's like, okay, go chase boys and get your license, or you really are going to be a lifer in this horse show business.
Yeah.
And that's almost like these wrestlers. It's like, okay, you make that decision, and these kids aren't like, oh, I'm thinking about doing it. No, they're all in.
Yeah.
And it's damn impressive, man.
Yeah, it is. It's just, to me, it's absolutely incredible.
Milkovich's outfit on Saturday night was top notch. He won the costume of the year, him and his wife, for like the 5th straight year.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
They know how to do it right. We'll pick up on that and talk a little bit about the event we were at when we come back. You are listening to the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead Show.
If you're suffering from spring fever, Lion Country Kia has the cure. The Spring Fever Reliever is a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. They make it easy to choose because there's 86 brand new Kias in stock and ready to go. Lion Country Kia has 14 2025 Kia Sportages and 7 2025 Kia Sorentos available, with financing as low as 3.49% for 72 months or total savings of over $4,000. And of course, every new Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Stop in today and check out the full Kia lineup, plus a great selection of certified pre-owned Kias. Enjoy spring in Happy Valley. Lion Country Kia, 1334 Dravova Street off Shiloh Road behind Sam's Club, State College. Warranty is a limited powertrain warranty. For details, see dealer or go to kia.com.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
May is National Mental Health Awareness Month, and everyone is invited to celebrate at the Opportunity Center Clubhouse's 19th Annual Mental Health Awareness Kickoff Party, presented by Center Helps, on Thursday, May 1st at Wasson Farm. Admission is free, and doors open at 5 p.m. with live music by Eric Ian Farmer, a vendor fair, free ice cream, complimentary hors d'oeuvres and drinks, door prizes, plus a program of speakers and great success stories beginning at 5:30. Join the fun as Mental Health Awareness Month launches at Wasson Farm on May 1st.
Hi, welcome to Timberland Federal Credit Union, a financial cooperative for its members, tracing all the way back to 1973.
Experience Timberland Federal Credit Union, where you're greeted with a smile and financial solutions are tailored to your unique life journey. Here, we're not just financial professionals, we're your neighbors, people invested in your financial needs, literacy, and empowerment. Your dreams matter to us, whether they're about buying a home, growing a nest egg, or embarking on new adventures. TFCU draws from the past and invests in the future, offering modern tools like online banking to give you the freedom to manage your money practically anytime. Additionally, we're passionate about giving back both time and resources because enhancing our community is at the core of why we're here. Visit TFCU in person or online to learn more about our services and apply for a membership today.
WFXS, once again.
The Fox, your sports radio. Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA Sports Authority. WFXS America.
98.7 The Fox State.
We are back here for a final segment on this Tuesday. Again, no Jed Donahue tonight. We'll have Fox Sports coming up at 4 o'clock. Jed will be back in the 4 to 6 time slot tomorrow. And we look forward to having him back in the rotation here. We do have lots of sports action rolling your way, including the beloved Pittsburgh Pirates coming up tonight. The Cubs come to town. That'll be a 6:40 start. 6:15 will be the airtime, and looking forward to that. The Mad Turtle and I will be in the house along with my wife for the Padres game in Pittsburgh on Friday night. My wife will actually be working a table there, so then she has to go to the other end of the state to Philadelphia for work on Saturday and Sunday. So busy little time of the year, but looking forward to the Pirates game. Mad Turtle had a great time at Yellowstone with us, and then we went down flew into Fort Myers and then over to Sanibel for the Champions for Children event, C4C, that the Schanfelders, Austin and Pam, have put together. Was it 11 or 12 years now?
I think it's 12.
I think, yeah, this was the 12th. Couldn't remember if this or next year was that 12 I know is in there. So it's an event that they put together to raise money for a couple of organizations down in that area. The one is a cancer, children's cancer in particular research group, and they work with a hospital down there on developing, hopefully, eventually a cure, but treatments for cancer. They also work with the backpack program there for
Blessings in the backpack,
kiddos.
Local stuff.
Yeah, and then Valerie's house, which is the one that I've gone to. This is my second year being involved with it, which is a home for, primarily it's for the kiddos who have either lost a parent or sibling or other loved one very close to them. But it's kind of grown and branched out where they're helping the parents as well in those situations.
You see that, right?
Just a remarkable organization. And so they invite about 15.
It's a bereavement
They about 15 to 20 athletes, professional athletes. A lot of them football players, but there's golfers and wrestlers and other sports involved. But
2 basketball couldn't make it this year.
I think we just had the 1 basketball representative this year. So, but go down and get together, hang out for 3 days, have a lot of fun. But there's a poker night the first night. There's a terrific concert. Just JT Hodges headlines it, but it is just remarkable, the talent.
Tyler Booth. Remember that name, man.
Yeah. And then there's a auction night and dinner to finish it up on that Saturday night. But a lot of former Penn Staters, Troy Drayton, Kajana Carter, the Conlins, all go down for it. Marco Rivera, and it's just it's really fun. Pat Milkovich, who was Michigan State standout, lost to John Fritz in the finals of the NCAA championships. Just a great guy, and as you said, just has the best costumes this year. The auction night, the dinner night, the theme was pirates, and just some great costumes.
Some people really get into it.
Well, Pat certainly got really into it. He had a costume for the ages. So
he had pantyhose on.
He did have pantyhose on. He went the extra mile.
He did.
But it's just one of those events that for me as a kid that just grew up loving sports and I'm kind of looking around like I'm not exactly sure what I'm doing here. This is really cool, getting to know some of these guys. And this year with my family there, being able to introduce some of those guys to my kiddo and to be able to have him come home. And he went, I know some of these former Dolphins are his team. He likes Tua and now Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, and Chop Robinson is now I think he said now Chop has moved into his second favorite player in the NFL. J.J. Jefferson is actually his favorite player. I mean, why exactly, I'm not sure.
Justin Jefferson?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so
that's a stretch.
Yeah, and then it's I think it's Chop now and Tua, and then Tyreek and Jalen Waddle in whatever order. Anyways, he got to meet a bunch of former Dolphins. We bid on a couple of silent auction items.
4?
We ended up with 3. We got 2. We got a Hall of Fame football. We got a signed Miami Dolphins football player, all the Dolphins that were down there, former Dolphins. Yep. And then Rick Calora, who was a former catcher for the New York Yankees, and the Mad Turtle loves to play catcher. We're working hard at it. And when he learned that Cirola played for the Yankees and was a catcher, he's like, so we had to bid on his side baseball and got it. We got a great picture with him and Cirola. Very, very cool stuff.
Your boy, Kanji.
Yep. Yeah, Cangelosi is
he's the only guy who could get away with this, but he actually wore a Pirates uniform to the party.
Yes.
So everybody else is dressed up like, we're swashbuckling and this and that. Right. He walks in, white pants, white Pirates jersey, and just fit in.
His Cangelosi.
And he's about 5'5", so he looks like a little league baseball player walking around with this. We had a great time, great guy.
Yeah, he is. He's just fantastic.
Yeah, there you go, going to Valerie's house. And I had told Jeff, last year was his first year that he had gone down. He went down alone, tested the waters out to see what it was about. And it hits you, man. Once you get down there and see it, you hear these little kids talking stories about, losing mom or losing dad. Some guys losing mom and dad. And, you just see that they were, they're tough to talk to, but, they have people who work at the house in the home who are professionally trained to talk to these kids through grieving processes and stuff like that. We have a very good friend in town that my wife's best friend, she goes with us. She had lost her mother at a young age. It means the world to her to go down and do something like that. So I tell Jeff, and I tell everybody every week, I said, if you're going to do this, it's not a cheap thing. You get to spend a lot of money to get down there and stuff like that, be a sponsor. Jeff and I are both celebrity type things. So we're okay on that route. But I tell people who go down, like I said, you're going to spend money. But I'm going to tell you right now, go to Valerie's house. Go to this event. And, Jeff will be the first one to say, we have fun. 4 days of party and stuff like that, but you wrap it around. You're making a lot of money for these kids. But the one day, Friday morning, we go out to Valerie's house for about 4 or 5 hours. We had breakfast with the kids and stuff like that, coffee, juice. We did some arts and crafts. What did you do?
Yeah, we made keychain or bracelet. I made a keychain or bracelet.
I made like 3 things, and that's where my new nickname came from. Did you hear?
No.
I made a Noog bracelet.
I don't even know what that is.
It's Goon, but I spelled it backwards.
Oh, I like it.
So I had a keychain, and I was like, "Here, honey, this is mine." And she goes, "It says Noog," and I was like, "Damn it!"
I thought it was some sort of style.
I was trying to turn it around, do this or that. And I said, "Nope, no matter which way you look at it, it says Noog." So that's my new nickname amongst this crew. So it's Goon. The Goon is the Noog.
I missed that.
But just an absolutely wonderful time. I had my friends from West Texas, and he was asking me the night before, Scott, Mr. Tiny. He's like, "Hey, what do you think I should?" Well, I said, Scott, if you want to get the full experience of what you're doing here and what you're spending money on. And he couldn't spend enough money that next night because he wanted to give as much money as he could to those kids and stuff like that and help out. And he comes to me and he had tears in his eyes. He says, "Thank you for making me do that. Thank you. It means so much to me." So it puts a face to what you were doing. And, we had Madison. That's the young woman who lost she lost her mother and I believe a brother or a sister. And, so she made an announcement last year that she was going to go to Penn State because she had could go to Florida or Florida Gulf Coast for a cheaper amount of money. But her mom and dad are both Lehigh Valley people. Her grandparents are all Penn State people. She wanted to go to Penn State, but it wasn't in the cards with money.
Yeah.
So they had a little fundraiser there, and they got the money made last year. She made her commitment to Penn State, and she's just finishing. She came in for the party and then flew back Sunday for finals this week.
Yeah.
Oh, man, good for you, girlfriend.
Yeah.
So we had a little thing where, people would raise their hands, and they raised a good amount of money right there for helping her with her scholarship to Penn State. So, again, Austin, Pam, Megan Schanfelter, thank you so much for getting us involved.
Yeah.
Love to be involved with it. Blessings in the Backpack, Champions for Children. It was a charity. All of that's on there if anyone wants to go make a donation. But, man, fantastic time. You did a heck of a job. I mean, it is tough that first night when you don't know who the heck's there. I got some guys. Guys are coming in and out. Like Keyjana wasn't there, Troy wasn't there. We had I was like, oh, we should have maybe done a list before we started announcing.
Yeah,
but it was a guy like Frankie Winters. He's a friend of Marco's.
Yeah,
played for the Green Bay Packers. But in a small world, he played his first year was with one of the older guys that we play with when Frankie was a freshman or a rookie in the NFL.
Yeah,
you can't make that up. So Frankie comes in, and he's a friend of Marco's, and he's a great guy. He comes in and plays golf, makes some money for some people and this and that, and then he just jumps out. So charity, brother.
Yeah, no, it's an amazing organization. Just a great group of people and just an amazing weekend. Again, just the second time that I've had the good fortune of being involved. But
big blessings to the island of Sanibel. They have gone through some crap the last 3 years. They had 2 direct hurricanes.
Yeah, the
last 3 years. They hadn't had one in 144 years, and they had 2 in the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, last one was pretty devastating.
They're
still
down there.
Very much, in the rebuild mode. But boy, the people could not have been nicer and more generous with their time. You would not know that they're going through their own very real struggles now.
To put it in perspective, you drive down, go to an event, and you'd see 3 homes that are perfect, meticulous, and then you'd have 2 homes that are completely rocked, uninhabitable. No, everything is overgrown and stuff like that, and that's people who can't afford to rebuild and stuff like that. And it's sad to even see. But it's a lot of that going on down there.
Yeah, no,
I heard 10 to 15% of that island is for sale. The people are like, I can't do it. We're done. We're out. For fluky things,
I can understand. Yeah,
what a beautiful place. We had the Sundial Resort, which just opened up in March, I believe. They just reopened up since the hurricanes.
Right at the end of February, beginning of March.
Yeah, only half of it is open up because the half where we stayed was open.
Yeah,
but the other stuff was still under construction, and you could hear it all day and all night. I mean, that's all you hear on that island is construction.
Yeah,
but.
No, they're working their way back, but it's definitely taking some time. But anyways, a huge thank you, as you said, to the Schanfelters for getting that all started. A whole lot of fun. I have a blast. I'm seeing the parts of it that I'm involved with, and it was just another amazing weekend. I did not. Last year, it was because it was my first time. I wanted to make sure we were all on the same page with what we needed to do. We also had to do the auction last year. They brought in an auctioneer this year, so that took
live
that yes off of the plate. And so, but with the kiddo with us, it just it's like, if you don't need me, and they didn't, it's like, I think we'll just, so we just kind of, the kiddo played a lot of ping pong, as it turned out. They have a ping pong table down by the pool there at the resort, and we got into ping pong, and he was playing with other random people would walk by, and he's standing there with a racket waiting for either Marissa or I, and we're like, we'll be there in just a minute, and somebody walked by, so I'll play with you. So he played with a couple of different kids, and probably over the course of the 3 days, probably 5 or 6 different adults, and picked up some little tricks here and there. So he at least felt like he was a ping pong expert by the time we finished up. But anyways, we just we made it a pool day.
Marissa was there and saw another nonprofit, much like hers, where she could take it to the next level and say this would be the next level for her.
Yeah, for sure.
And this being the mental health awareness month, right?
It is. Yeah, May starting here on Thursday is
it's funny, man. I talked to a lot of people about that this weekend, and just because we were talking to some Valerie's House people, and then you don't. My generation, your generation, and ones before us sure as hell don't take it. They never took it into perspective. They never really did. You know what I mean? And you and I get into this every once in a while on the show, and it's just like, man, it's a lot. It was a lot. It was a lot to, to do when you were a player and stuff like that. And then, I can't imagine these younger kids now, with the mental grieving that they're going through with losing people and stuff like that. So I was talking to those people about it, and it was. I love doing it. I love the people. I hope that they like us because they keep on coming back. So,
it is. It's just a great weekend. It was a great week for us, and then I forgot just exactly how busy we all are. Reggie has some testing this week with the state testing in his school. I'm just running around all over the place, getting some stuff caught up with the station and a couple of other things. And then because it is Mental Health Awareness Month coming up, my wife is I think she has 14 to 16-hour days pretty much every day this week and weekend. And then, you throw into that baseball season with the kiddo. He has a game tonight as long as the thunderstorms hold off. Looking forward to that. And then he's excited about the Padres-Pirates game Friday because he's a San Diego fan now. Again, no.
Just you two going?
No, Marissa has a table.
She
has to work it. So we just tag along. I'll drive us down and back, and then she actually leaves Saturday morning. We have a scouting event, a cleanup day on Saturday, and then I think he has a game on Sunday. So we're right back in the swing of things. That's for sure. Just watching some of the NHL playoffs, it's heartbreaking to me. And Mike Sullivan got, not surprisingly, let go. Hockey is just one of those where it's just such a short run. Either you make it or don't. It doesn't matter what else is going on. Sullivan's obviously a great coach. He'll go somewhere else and do just fine. And the Penguins, I think, need a change, but they need all kinds of changes right now. And it'll be interesting to see kind of the direction that they go and what this team looks like next year, if they can make another run here with Crosby, or whether they're just going to kind of go into rebuild mode and not get there until after.
What do you think his options
wraps up?
You think they go to rebuilding mode and they're going to keep him? Why would they do that?
Well, I think they will keep him because he is the draw right now. One, and I think I never say never when it comes to players playing elsewhere. Again, you think back to some of the images of different players playing on
some
teams.
of them are great.
There's no way that this guy will ever not be with
Johnny
my
Unitas
team.
at the Chargers helmet.
Yeah. So, but I think they want to, even if they're in full rebuild mode. I just think he just means so much to the franchise. And again, listen, if they determine, hey, this is what we can get back for him, it's more than worth it, this is going to help us get to where we need to be, yeah, I think you pull the trigger on it. But boy, you better be pretty certain you're getting the right haul for him, because he is, one of the true legends in all of Pittsburgh sports history, not just with the Penguins. But anyways, it'll be interesting to see the direction they go. It is the NHL playoffs are just so much fun when you have a team in it. It's so exciting. There's so much anxiousness when you get ready for those games and stuff. And it just stinks when your team's not in it and you're watching these games and these series play out. It's like, I just wish I had a true rooting interest here. Because when you have that, it is so much fun. Much like baseball, I remember vaguely the days when the Pirates were.
The 70s and 80s were not good for the Pittsburgh Pittsburgh Penguins.
Yeah,
but they were very good for the Steelers and the Buccos.
Yeah, that is for sure.
Oh boy!
All right, that's going to wrap things up for today. Again, we'll have Pirates baseball rolling your way tonight at 6:15 as the Buccos take on the Cubs at PNC Park, 6:40 first pitch. And no show on Thursday because of Pirates baseball. Oh, well, no show on the radio, I should say. We may, we'll let you know to be determined whether or not we'll do our Facebook show. More than likely we'll do at least an hour of it on Thursday, but we'll keep you posted on that. But Pirates have an afternoon game on Thursday against the Cubbies, so we'll be back at least on the radio a week from today with the next edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox.
If you're suffering from spring fever, Lion Country Kia has the cure. The Spring Fever Reliever is a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. They make it easy to choose because there's 86 brand new Kias in stock and ready to go. Lion Country Kia has 14 2025 Kia Sportages and 7 2025 Kia Sorentos available, with financing as low as 3.49% for 72 months or total savings of over $4,000. And of course, every new Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Stop in today and check out the full Kia lineup, plus a great selection of certified pre-owned Kias. Enjoy spring in Happy Valley. Lion Country Kia, 1334 Dropable Street off Shiloh Road behind Sam's Club, State College. Warranty is a limited powertrain warranty. For details, see dealer or go to kia.com.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
May is National Mental Health Awareness Month, and everyone is invited to celebrate at the Opportunity Center Clubhouse's 19th Annual Mental Health Awareness Kickoff Party, presented by Center Helps, on Thursday, May 1st at Wasson Farm. Admission is free, and doors open at 5 p.m. with live music by Eric Ian Farmer, a vendor fair, free ice cream, complimentary hors d'oeuvres and drinks, door prizes, plus a program of speakers and great success stories beginning at 5:30. Join the fun as Mental Health Awareness Month launches at Wasson Farm on May 1st.
Hi, welcome to Timberland Federal Credit Union, a financial cooperative for its members, tracing all the way back to 1973.
Experience Timberland Federal Credit Union, where you're greeted with a smile and financial solutions are tailored to your unique life journey. Here, we're not just financial professionals, we're your neighbors, people invested in your financial needs, literacy, and empowerment. Your dreams matter to us, whether they're about buying a home, growing a nest egg, or embarking on new adventures. TFCU draws from the past and invests in the future, offering modern tools like online banking to give you the freedom to manage your money practically anytime. Additionally, we're passionate about giving back both time and resources because enhancing our community is at the core of why we're here. Visit TFCU in person or online to learn more about our services and apply for a membership today.
WFXX, once again.
The Fox, your sports radio. Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA Sports Authority. WFXS America.
98.7 The Fox State College. The Goon and Ironhead.